Good evening, and thank you all for being with us this evening. We're going to open our annual portfolio review. Our format this evening is we'll have a quick presentation from Ms. Alvarez around this review process, and then we are going to be open for public comment. All right, so Ms. Alvarez, thank you.
Hey, good evening. I'm Angela Alvarez. I'm the Executive Director of the Office of New Initiatives. So just sort of remind the members of the public of kind of where we are in terms of the process. So November 12th, we publicly shared the recommendations for our various school communities and released various reports. We held a COMAR hearing on December 3rd. Tonight is the special session to also hear from members of the public. And the board will make its final vote on January 14th. If for some reason you're in this room or you're listening and you weren't able to give public testimony, you can also send written testimony to the board by emailing the board at the portfolio recommendations at bcps.k12.md.us or by using regular mail to 200 East North Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, 21202. Either method addressed to the board, either method is appropriate for giving feedback to the board. The board will take written feedback up until January 10th, which is the Friday before the vote. With that, I'm going to turn it over to public comment. Just one more thing for members of the public. When you do come up to speak, there's an on and off button, so you want to make sure you turn it on that the light is green when it's on. And that you speak into the mic because it's being transcribed. Okay, thank you.
Good. Each speaker will also have 3 minutes for your presentation. I also want to acknowledge Mr. Daniel Carrion, who is here as a Spanish interpreter. So if you need his services, please make certain that you let him know.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Daniel Carrión. Para aquellos que necesitan este servicio de intérprete, voy a estar sentado aquí a mano izquierda. Se pueden comunicar conmigo.
And just as a note, if you do need the services of the interpreter, we will adjust the time for that translation for you. Okay. So I will start with our listing, and our first speaker is Denise Bitterman.
Hi, I'm Denise. I'm here to go over my thoughts about George McMecken. Did everybody get, I emailed a big packet of stuff. I don't know if you guys got it. If not, I have another copy. Okay. Do you want the copy? Okay, sure. So I'm just going to go over basically a summary of what was in my letter to the board about McMecken. So I reviewed the school recommendation report, and they said our enrollment numbers were kind of low. So I was thinking that if we opened our school up for middle school students, maybe from Lois T. Murray, or appropriate high school students from Bear, that would increase our enrollment numbers. If our enrollment did increase, we probably would be eligible for the lost funding. Also, it said, that report also said that Bear and Claremont, or students could be placed at Bear and Claremont based on location and needs, academic needs, but the bus ride from one side of town to another is very long, and most of our students couldn't tolerate that, so it seems like they wouldn't really have a choice based on academic needs. It would just be more location-based, which may not necessarily be appropriate for some of the students. The report also said that Bear and Claremont would improve our students' access to community resources. I don't know that that's 100% accurate. From what I understand, Bear School only sends students to work placements a few times a year, if at all. And Claremont does do work placement, but most of their positions are already filled. So if our kids did go there, they would be losing that opportunity that they currently have. Okay, so that's that part. So for Bear School, some of the issues with Bear School, I think the school's too big and it's also overcrowded. I think our students need a small environment with small class sizes and individualized attention. Bear School has no focus on the high school grades, and our kids wouldn't get the high school experience, which they do get at McMecken. Our kids are switching classes every period. They're learning how to generalize their skills with different teachers. They all have individualized class schedules, so they're also learning how to work with different peers and generalize their skills that way. Bear School has medically fragile students and the young students, so any of our kids, if they're having behaviors, it could pose kind of a safety threat to the medically fragile there. I wouldn't want one of our students to act up and injure somebody that's medically fragile. Also, Bear School has sent its non-progressing students to McMecken, so I don't know why our students would want to go back there if they weren't making progress there, why they should have to go back to a school that they weren't doing well at. Do you want me to stop talking with the time running out?
Yeah, you had one last thought that you wanted to share?
Sure. I guess my last thought is I just want to make sure you guys all saw the video and the link that I had sent via email. It was my principal won the Heart of the School Award a few years ago, and the video online really does a good job showing the strengths of our school.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And board members, if you haven't, we'll be certain that we take a look at your video, at the email as well as the link. Thank you.
And then I have a copy.
And we have a
this.
copy, if you've given it materials
This wasn't in there.
to Mr. Gant. Okay.
This wasn't in there.
It's up. Okay, and for anyone else who might be interested, it is posted on board docs, the information that she's referencing. Our next speaker who can come up is Sheila Phillips.
Good evening to everyone that's in attendance in this room on tonight. Again, my name is Sheila Phillips. I come to speak to you as the PTO president of George W.F. McMecken. I'm also the CCAT chair for Baltimore City Schools, as we all know. Just want to make sure. I have a few concerns about the closing of the school. One, there was 2 meetings held, and I attend both of them with Miss Angela Everest. And some of the parents was concerned about their children or students going to Bear School, leaving Bear School, coming to a high school, and then returning to their school. And some parents literally was in tears. Who goes to school and graduate and then have to return to their school after graduating? Not many. When I saw the parents tearing up and crying about that, that seemed to bother me. The other thing, the parents said that their children had done so well since they left Bear School and came to McMecken. You have a parent saying their children have really matriculated, their communication skills had improved, and we're talking about from September to December. That's amazing to hear from a parent about their child. The loss of partnerships in that area, there were so many opportunities for the students to be out in the community, different churches, and they gained partnerships with these individuals, and they was able to service those particular places. We're going to lose that partnership. The other thing bothered me about the population and the transportation for these students to go to either Claremont or to Bear School. What is the class size going to look like? How many students will be in that class? What is the staff size going to look like? Some of these students coming with nurses and one-on-ones. What is that going to look like? How are we going to address those issues? It is very important that we consider those with children with disabilities. We're not talking about a comprehensive school with special ed in it. We're talking about a separate day school where all the students need additional support and services. I only have 30 seconds, so just consider these when you're talking about closing the school and these students going to two different schools. Make sure we understand what's happening and what's going to happen with the class size and the transportation, just getting them off the buses and then getting into the classroom. We're talking about Bear School will be up to capacity, maybe 200. What is that going to look like when everybody's catching the bus? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Our next speaker is Tamika Daniels.
Go ahead. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Tamika Daniels, and I'm the current principal of George McMecken High School. I come before you today to discuss the school closing. First, I would like to say that I absolutely love Baltimore City Public Schools, and I just celebrated 20 years with the district, all of which have been at McMecken as a special educator, assistant principal, and now principal. Over the years, we have created a loving and nurturing environment for all stakeholders. So when I heard about the school closing, I have to be honest and say I was not surprised. I understand that our numbers have declined, but when you hear about the school closing, the emotions just hit a little different. McMecken is a beautiful building with lots of space, and I understand that we are not utilizing the entire space, but I think with some good brainstorming, we can think about how to make that happen. However, I come before you today to just advocate for our scholars. If I had a wish, it would be to remain open and continue to service our scholars and our community. Helping young adults learn to write their name, count money, follow simple recipes, ride a bike, and complete science projects are some of the things that we do there at our school. We support them with learning and mastering critical life skills while connecting them with job opportunities in the community, some who currently work at Old Navy and Ricerstown Road, shoppers at Mondawmin, and volunteer at local churches. We pick up parents to ensure that they attend IEP meetings, and we understand what is needed in instruction for students who exhibit various behaviors. We have staff who fix wheelchairs, braces all day, and we understand how to provide a relaxed environment for our students. However, as a school principal, I will share with you that whatever decision you make, I hope that you understand the needs of our scholars, and I come before you today to simply ask that if the decision is made to close McMecken, and if it becomes final, that you just promise to work with school leaders, central office staff, businesses, the current staff at McMecken, to make sure that our students have access to current resources, or if not even better resources than they have now, that will support their academic, social, and emotional growth. And I just want to share real quickly what that looks like to you. At our school, over the years, we have created a sensory room, one of the first in the district, access to a swimming pool. We have pet therapy. We have state-of-the-art technology that we invest our budget in, both assistive technology and more. We have they will need unlimited access to color printers because our teachers have to take the high school curriculum and modify it all for our students with visual icons, things that students Velcro and glue together. Consider a large gymnasium in art therapy, which we have now. Resources even include access to long hallways, because sometimes when something triggers in a student to run, they need to be able to run and still be safe doing so. It looks like having access to a washer and dryer for our parents, a food pantry, and staff-led sessions as our speech and language pathologist came earlier to do sign language for both our parents and our staff so they can communicate with our students. It also entails having a shower. We have students who are nonverbal, almost half our population. So when they come in and they're sick or they have soiled themselves, we want to make sure that when they're picked up by their parents, that they come in and they're clean. We don't let them sit. We know that the needs are there to help feed them and toilet them and change them and wash them, because these are things that they cannot do for themselves. I'm willing to help where needed. I just need everyone to understand that our scholars in separate public day schools need the same as other scholars in Baltimore City. It just might look a little different for them. And you just have to be a different type of person, someone with an extraordinary heart and a soul of purpose to make this succeed. I want you to take a moment not to look at our numbers, but not look at the space, but look at our scholars and the quality of education and supports they currently receive, and hoping that you continue to allow them to have access to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Destiny Foster.
I'm here for the Curtis Bay thing. Good evening, my name is Destiny Foster. I've been going to Curtis Bay for a total of 7 years. I'm now in 8th grade and I'm a straight A student. From grades 4th to 5th, I was at another school and my grades were significantly lower there. When I came back to Curtis Bay, my grades were amazing, straight A all year in 6th grade. I didn't know why, but my grades got better and better. I realized that the teachers at Curtis Bay actually teach us and that they encourage us to step out of our comfort zone. If you asked me 4 or 5 years ago what high school I wanted to go to, I would have said my zone school, which is Ben. If you asked me today, I would have said City or Poly, because at Curtis Bay I was given a chance to learn. I'm now eligible to go to any high school that I want. The administrators work hard and focus on having good students in our school. There is rarely any reports of fighting or bullying, and if so, they are handled really quickly. Curtis Bay has helped me through so much. To see it go would be heartbreaking. Curtis Bay is not only a school, but it's a family. There's a couple of people that have been there for me since I've been back at Curtis Bay. Miss Johnson, our assistant principal for middle school, has been here for 4 years, and all 4 of these years she has held the school together. She has taken all of the bad out of the school and is the glue to our school. Without her, there would be no more school. Then there's Miss Gant. She has been here since I was in 6th grade and has been the 8th graders' teacher for 3 years. She helped in so many ways possible. Lastly is there's Dr. Donaldson. Since he was here, he has shown me that you can be good at both math and ELA. Just earlier today, me and a couple of other 8th graders were in our library reading the poems that we created from the Wit and Wisdom program. Seeing this should show these improvements should be a reason not to shut the middle school down.
Thank you, Destiny. It's a great testimony about your school, and congratulations on being ready to go to high school. Okay. Robin Foster. Is this mom? Grandma. Grandma, okay.
Hi. Okay, first I want to get started on the safety of our school. Our school right now, where our children are walking to school, is, for, our neighborhoods, nothing is safe now. But to have to walk to Baybrook, to transition our middle school children to Baybrook, it's a lot further walk for our children, and it is not safe. They have to walk through woods. It is not safe. None of the parents here feel safe about this. Second of all, I want to go on to our middle school growth on Park. Let me put my glasses on so I can actually see. Park was recognized by Dr. Santelisis, our superintendent at the Summer Leadership Institute, for making 5% or greater increase from same year 18 in grade 6 through 8th language arts. I'm sorry, my mouth is dry. For language arts, 7th grade went up 8%, from 8% to 18%, proficient from 2018-2019 Park. 8th grade went up from 6% to 18.4%, proficient for math. The 8th grade went up from 7% to 15.4% proficient on Park. Secondly, 32 out of 54 total 8th graders are eligible this year to attend the top high schools that require entrance criteria, like City, Poly, Western, etc. Test scores. Our test scores for Baltimore, for Curtis Bay Elementary, I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. Not used to speaking like this. Curtis Bay for 6th grade this year is up 42%. For 7th grade, it's up 30%. And for 8th grade, it's up 37% on our ANET math testing. Baybrook's test scores are lower than ours. We do not want our children falling behind. I have 2 children that are in middle school at Curtis Bay right now. This year alone, Destiny, who just spoke, she's almost straight A. My grandson is in 6th grade. He is almost straight E. If they go to Baybrook, our concern is that their grades are going to fall behind. Not only that, but the concerns for the walking to school. There's no transportation for them. And even if there was, we don't want our kids taken out of the school that they're in. We're used to our kids going to Curtis Bay, and they're used to that. You're taking them out of an environment that, like a family environment. They've gotten used to these teachers, the principals, everybody. Everybody is like a family there. We do not want our kids taken out of Curtis Bay to be put in Baybrook. Can I give you these test scores? Thank
Yes, you can. Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Foster, Commissioner Richardson wanted to ask you a question.
Thank you so much for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
I wanted to get more clarification from you. So you said that you are nervous that your students would not get good grades at the new school.
Well, my children alone are getting straight A's and straight E's. I know the test scores for Baybrook aren't as high as our test scores that we have for Curtis Bay.
Okay.
And the teachers have put so much work into our children, teaching our children there. Our children are used to these teachers. They shouldn't have to be taken out of one school to put in another school because we're overpopulated.
Okay. And have you met with any of the teachers or the administration for the new school?
No.
Okay. Would you like for us to help set something like that up for you?
No.
Okay, you're not interested in meeting.
I don't want my child going to Baybrook at
Okay.
all.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Our next speaker is Pastor Terry Thornton.
Good evening to you all. My name is Pastor Terry Thornton from Sweet Hope Free Will Baptist Church. I'm a community partner in partnership with the George W. F. McMecken School. Mr. McMecken was an African-American lawyer in Baltimore, some of you all may know, who advocated for fair housing for African-Americans in segregated Baltimore, served on the governing board of Morgan State University, and was the first African-American on the Board of School Commissioners of Baltimore. So today I stand in Mr. McMecken's advocacy shoes, advocating on behalf of the school that bears his name. George W. F. McMecken, which was formerly senior high school, is a separate day school for students with moderate to severe disabilities. McMecken is one of the jewels of the Garrison Hill community. That is why I'm standing here advocating for this school today. McMecken, in my opinion, is fertilizer for the children that are there. As the students fertilize them, McMecken nourishes those students. They enrich their lives. McMecken stimulates the children to maximize their potential and to help them to develop every bit of potential that's within them despite their disabilities. McMecken provides a safe environment that aids and abets their development and their learning. McMecken gives specialized attention to the children that honors each child's humanity. McMecken shows the children's love, care, and compassion rather than the potential disrespect or disregard or disdain that they could encounter in a more general education setting. So today, I think closing McMecken will severely injure this population of young people by limiting their access to the nurturing educational environment that McMecken offers. It will place them in a less safe, controlled, assisted environment, and it will upset what I would consider to be their fragile sensibilities. I recommend that every consideration be given, every prospect be investigated, and every possible solution be considered to allow McMecken to continue its normal operations without the fear of closure. My questions I will just put on the table, and I know that there are tons of questions. Are there other students who could be brought to McMecken to build up their student population? Are there other sub-uses for the building that could be housed in the unused section of the building that could bring up its capacity? Could McMecken once again become a senior high school to build up its population? And of course, there are other questions. I just want to say thank you all this evening for your attention and your consideration, and please look out for the children of McMecken and allow that jewel to continue to thrive in our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pastor Thornton. Are your questions all, is it possible to share the rest of those that you had? You said you had more, but you didn't have time to read them all.
Well, I do. I can email them after.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, you send that to us.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Corey Leach.
Hello. I'm the community school site specialist for Sara and Roach Elementary, and I'm here to talk about the transportation services provided for our students. So at the end of the school year, we're supposedly to merge with Mary E. Rodman. I know the vote hasn't been in yet and it won't be until January, but if we are merging with Mary E. Rodman, most of the parents' concerns are transportation and how to get their kids from the
Would you
Sara
mind
and
just
Roach.
speaking up just a little bit more? I just want to make sure we hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, much better. Thank
Okay.
you.
So the concerns for our parents is how to get the kids to school from the Sara and Roach area to the Mary E. Rodman area safely. Because there are some bus services provided, but not for all students. They wanted to do a walking bus stop. But, well, before I get into it, we do have some representatives from Sara and Roach. Can y'all please stand? Thanks. So, a walking bus stop was presented to us, but the route that they, I guess, designated for our students isn't really all that safe, because you gotta walk through Hilton Street, Baltimore Street, Evanston Avenue, and then all behind Mulberry Street just to get there, and it's not really safe because you have not students, but it's like a really violent area in that mix of the walking bus stop. And also, it's like really drug-heavy trafficking right there. So, like, we don't want our kids to get, picked up or influenced as drug mules, because it's happened to some kids in some certain areas like that. And also, with this sex trafficking and stealing kids, it's a really big concern for some parents. And even though the walking bus stop is an okay idea, it's not the best idea. So parents just want better transportation options for their children. And the attendance, it was bought before, but the attendance it would really be terrible, because on a better day, like a clear sunny day, it took like 45 minutes for them to walk from Sara and Roach to the Mary E. Rodman building on Mulberry Street. So like on a day where like it's raining or the weather's not all that great, they're not going to come to school if they got to walk. So the attendance, and then the SEL part, the kids, they're not going to feel comfortable right away, because I personally went over to Mary E. Rahman and some of their PTO parents that they act like they don't want the kids to come. They act like they really not. They're not really welcoming of the merge. And it's like, if the parents feel like that, what do they feed into their kids? And we just don't want no bullying or nothing like that. We try to have a peaceful transition if it's happening. And we just want our kids to feel welcome and comfortable and safe at the same time. Thank you.
I'm sorry, but before you step away, it would be helpful, I'm going to ask staff to follow up specifically, particularly with the transition piece and kind of the how the activities are currently going with in preparation for the school merger. This is something that we've been doing a while now, so I'm going to ask for a report for myself, as well as so that I can report back to the board about how that is going. Number two, I'm also going to ask for another look at the walking school bus route, and if there are suggestions, it might be helpful to actually do the walk with our staff, you and any family representatives, so that we can see where there might be some alternatives and where we can get some feedback. So I just want to thank you from my perspective, from the perspective of staff, of raising these issues, and we will look, the chief of staff and others, Ms. Alvarez, will reach out to you so that we can try to work together to look through this, because it is something we've been working on a while, and we don't want families feeling as if the safety of their children is at great risk. So thank you for coming and surfacing this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next, I believe, if you want to come up together, that's probably going to be fine. Logan Laura Cuente, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Close enough. You're the closest that anybody's come up with. So.
Oh, well, tell me the correct way to say it. Lara Cuente, okay. With a name like mine, I try, okay. And Laura, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So what I wanted to say is that when people go to Baybrook, when they transfer back, they've been telling me what's been happening in Baybrook, because I've had friends that were in Baybrook that transferred over to Curtis Bay. And from what I've been hearing, it's not a good place. Plus, we have to go through a place where there's guns, drugs, and prostitution all in the same neighborhood. And I have severe ADHD, I have OCD, I have DVD, ODD, severe anxiety, severe separation anxiety, and DMDD. And I'm actually afraid to go over there because I've been being bullied in Curtis Bay, but Miss Johnson and Mr. B have been nipping it in the bud really quickly and not letting them bully anyone. If they bullied anyone, they would be suspended. And I really don't want to go over to Baybrook because I am comfortable in Curtis Bay. And Baybrook's a whole new area, and plus most of the drugs are in the Baybrook parking lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Logan.
Okay. He's got a little bit extra time. I'm hoping I'm still going to get my 3 minutes because
You
I'm not going
can
to make it in
just
2.
go ahead.
Good evening, members of the board and families of Baltimore City. I am entrusting you this evening to demand that our middle school kids of Curtis Bay Elementary Middle School be kept where they are at Curtis Bay Elementary Middle. My oldest son, who will be immediately affected by this, has had issues with bullying in the past because of his special circumstances. He has 7 diagnoses, which I didn't expect him to give you to date, and as a result, he is socially awkward. I have been a volunteer parent since my son started at the school in 1st grade. He is now in 6th grade. It has taken 5 years and the amazing administrative staff that we now have that is always willing to work with parents like me to get Logan to the point where he feels safe enough and confident enough to allow me to go back to work. This is the first year that I've worked since he started at the school. We just recently found out that this was a recommendation. So your recommendation to move our children, especially those with special circumstances, out of our environment where they feel safe and comfortable, and have built a lot of trust to one of no safety and no trust, and expect them to continue to thrive amongst the chaos of Baybrook is completely disappointing and unacceptable to me and a lot of our parents. If this change is allowed to proceed, you will effectively destroy all of the hard work that the administrative staff, my son and I, have accomplished, not to mention the hard work of the other families and with children that have similar situations. Children like my son need safety and stability and need to feel secure. They don't need to be tossed into an unsafe environment where bullying is the norm and they feel that no one cares. CBEMS, which is Curtis Bay Elementary Middle School, has had its share of chaos until you brought in Mr. Bongiovanni to work alongside Ms. Johnson. Now we finally have an administrative team that shows our kids that they care about the kids of Curtis Bay and the academics of the school, as well as the decrease in bullying incidents proves that. The support system in place for our children with special circumstances is very good and continues to improve every year. To rip these kids, whose families are struggling already, out of the comfort and stability that they have come to depend on is both cruel and unnecessary. I am appalled at the fact that you are so eager and willing to destroy the love, trust, school spirit, and sense of belonging. I'm sorry, my control issues are out of whack. And sense of belonging community that this school has struggled to build with the families over the years. To just send our children into a dangerously unsafe environment will do more harm, especially to our children with special circumstances, than a little overcrowding ever could. Thank you for your time.
I want to thank you and Logan for sharing with us. And please know, as you said, these are recommendations. The board has not voted yet, and this evening is a time where we do need to hear from folks as to what the possible consequences might be. So please know that we're listening. And Logan, thank you for
Safety is
being
definitely an issue.
so clear in explaining how you're feeling. Thank you. Autumn Henry is our next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Autumn, and I came here to tell you about my experience at Curtis Bay and how it is different from my experience at Baybrook. I have been at Curtis Bay for 2 weeks and maybe 2 days. So when I first came to Curtis Bay, it was nice, quiet. The hallways, you didn't hear any children. It's the morning time, so they're all going to class. The hallways were very cleared very fastly. You can hear the people telling other students to go ahead to class, good morning, giving good speeches, saying hi, and things like that. The morning announcements come on. They say nice things. They say good morning to all the students, and they say like how we're doing good and the best school, and like just keep up the good work. And no matter what anybody else says, just you can control what you do and what anybody else does. When I walked into the portables to go see my teacher, I had another student come up to me and say, hi, my name is this. And I said hi back. And she was like, a lot of people might not like me, but nice to meet you because you're new. And I said, well, I'm not the type of person. I'm very nice and nice to get along with. So if you was to go into Baybrook, you would get a nice welcoming and things like that. But a couple days afterward, you will honestly get bullied by people. The teachers are there where they can support you sometimes, but honestly, they don't care. If you was to go upstairs on the second floor inside the main building, the teachers have no control over the children. You can hear there's children running in and out the classroom. There's chaos, there's cussing, inappropriate words. People are not listening, not doing what they're supposed to do. And I have been very insulted, not nicely talked to, and things like that. And another big thing is the issue on the bus is that the bus comes picks you up off of 10th Street. It takes you all the way across the bridge, past Harbor Hospital, to the building that Baybrook is at. and I have been assaulted on the bus by kicked in my face. A girl standing up on a chair, and a lady tried to push me back, but I wasn't going to hit her. She kicked me in my face, and when the lady was trying to hold me back, and I got elbowed in the eye. When I went to the nurse, I felt like I couldn't even move my eye. It was something stuck in my eye. My nose was hurting. This whole side of my face was red. I had boys do very rude things to me, assault me, said they're gonna blow up my house, and other things like that. I had a desk thrown into me, cars thrown in my face, and things like that. It's just very not nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Autumn. Okay. Is this Angela Johnson?
Actually, I signed up with my daughter. It's just I came late, so I was at the very bottom. Now I can
Yes.
wait and speak
I got you.
later, or I can
Okay,
speak.
no, go right ahead. I'll let you go ahead and speak with her.
Good afternoon. My name is Janine Wilkes. I'm here today, mother of Autumn Henry, who was directly impacted by attending Baybrook. Autumn attended Baybrook for about 3 years. In that time, I watched my child go from a vibrant, energetic, eager to learn child to a child that dreaded going to school, never wanted to get up. She tried to even take mace with her, a pocket knife, anything that would protect her on her way to school. I watched my daughter tell me that I would rather die than to go back. And as a mother, what do you do with that? I advocate for change if it's going to be a positive change and allow growth. There at Baybrook, I have an open second-degree assault case active as we speak. Nothing is being done. No one will return my calls. I've transferred my daughter over to Curtis Bay. I did a little research, but given the circumstances of the neighborhood, Curtis Bay was the next best choice. My thing is, it's going to be problems arise everywhere that you go. It's how they're handled. My daughter had incidents at Curtis Bay, but I have yet to had to go to the school because before it even got in my lap, the assistant principal handled it along with the teacher. Now, my biggest concern is that to give a school a big, bright, new, shiny building is excellent with brand new, state-of-the-art technology. Wonderful. But what have we done with the environment? That's my biggest concern, the safety of our children. To give them a building and to put 200 to 300 more children on top of what they have that is out of control is nothing but a recipe for disaster. If we do not change the environment of Baybrook, taking Curtis Bay or any other child to that building will not succeed. We'll have a bunch of children wandering around, 18, 21, not knowing, not doing anything. Curtis Bay needs to be dissected and not the building, the environment, the people in the building. Yes, there are good teachers there. I've witnessed them. But it's so much negativity, bullying going on in that school that the few apples there that's shining are unable to shine. This child loves to learn regardless of any disability that she has. She's one of the first people that raises her hand and are willing to learn. But when you put a child in that environment, it drains all the life out of a child. And to sit and watch my child go through that was pure, if you understand what I'm saying. So to have her go back to the environment where it was it's a safety plan. She has now transportation that the school provided, again, because she was assaulted on the bus, kicked in her face, and not one teacher called me. You know who called me? The transportation person, only because they were friends of mine. And he was a supervisor of transportation. That is the only reason why I knew of the incident. That was tried to be swept under the rug. But I'm a parent that shows up. So even now, the children that she's been assaulted by, still in the school. Nothing being done. No letters, no nothing. So to take her out of this environment where it's been, now she wakes up before the alarm clock, I'm sorry. 5 days out of the week, 4, she's up. Waiting on the school bus. We waiting on the school bus. Ready. That means something is sparking the light back in her. What it is, I don't know if it's the environment. Whatever it is, that means it's good. Please reconsider uprooting these children unless we dissect the problem that is already existing in this bright, new, shiny building. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to, I'm going to suggest if you need to, I don't know if you need any follow-up. Is there anyone that you need to talk with about, you're saying that there's an issue that hasn't been resolved? I would suggest that perhaps you get with one of the staff people in terms of that one, but thank you for your comments about the
Well, on a weekly
recommendation.
basis, I talk to Mr. Robinson right in this building. He has
Okay.
several voicemails, emails, everything, but it's dropping the bowl.
And which office, by the way?
In this building, he's up on the, I don't believe.
Do you remember which floor,
I know
which
I have his
department?
personal number and his name, I can give it to you.
Yes, if you would see Mr. Gant so we can do some follow-up.
No problem, thank you.
Okay.
He's with special
Okay,
education.
but thank
We'll
you.
do some follow-up. The other piece, I will just say so that you know the follow-up, and just so folks know, I was texting, I wasn't like doing gift shopping while the testimony was happening. And so I will make sure that we follow up with regards to both the current climate and capacity within Baybrook, what the current work that's being done in both areas. I think, and I'm sorry, can you remind me of your name again?
Janine Wilkes.
So thank you, Ms. Wilkes. I just want to thank you, all the parents who've testified thus far. I know we probably have more, but your point is incredibly well taken and a very powerful one. If we are only building buildings and not taking into account the climate and culture that young people are going into, then that is a misstep on our part, not on students and certainly not on families. So I just want you to know, I've already texted the chief of staff and I are texting now and texting other folks. We will be following up. So we will figure out a way to meet with both communities and make sure that we get deeper knowledge of what some of those experiences are, what they look like, how we do that. That is separate and apart from whatever the board votes to do. Regardless of where the board's vote is, that's something that we will begin doing immediately. So, thank you. Yes?
He works in Parents Response.
I'm sorry?
John Robinson, he works in Parents Response.
Great. And we did, we tracked him down. So
Okay,
thank you for
great.
that.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
Our next speaker is Angela Johnson.
Good afternoon, evening. I just want to talk about the switch from Curtis Bay and Baybrook. It's about my children. I have two daughters. They go to Curtis Bay Elementary Middle School, and they love it. I love it. It's a community. You feel at home there. All the teachers. I'm sorry. I'm a teary person. Sorry. Excuse me. You know that the teachers are not just phoning it in. They're not just bodies in seats. They care. They want our kids to succeed. They want them to feel safe. Excuse me. They want them to thrive, not only academically, but socially. And, yeah, sorry. Emotionally also. My youngest daughter is, excuse me, she has an IEP. She's not in middle school yet, but she will be next year. And it worries me about teachers not caring or children, other students bullying. I'm very worried about that for her. She's a very sweet, sweet girl who does not do well academically, but she is making progress with her teachers in a small classroom environment with people that she knows and trusts and has had chances to grow a relationship with. And even though my oldest daughter will be out of Curtis Bay this next school year, she still loves it there. She loves the teachers. She's thriving. she's being motivated to come out of her shell. She's a very shy girl, and she is on a successful path like Destiny. She can go to any high school that she chooses. Her grades are excellent, and she has really excelled and really grown to love these teachers and the feeling of being welcomed. When you go into the school, you don't feel it's an institution. You feel welcome there. Like, you're not putting a burden on their time. They're there for you. They solve problems right away. Like, we personally haven't experienced bullying at Curtis Bay Elementary School one time when my oldest daughter was in kindergarten, and it was handled that day. And you don't have to wait, and you don't have to feel like they're not listening or they don't care. Everybody wants everyone to feel welcome and to feel like they're going to succeed, and they can move on to high school and college and just do great things. And it's all because of community building, and the kids want to be in school and they love it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Johnson, thank you for that. One comment you just made around it's all about community building, which is the key to working together. Thank you also. Our next speaker is it Taisha Horton? Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm here about the closing of Curtis Bay Middle School because part of the problem they say is overpopulated. But if kids be returned to their zone school, then that will solve the overpopulation of students. It's unfair that our kids have to be moved from their zone school to another zone, out of their zone school. My niece is 25 and went to Curtis Bay Elementary back in the 90s. It was only the kids in the neighborhood that went there. We have parents who have pulled their kids from Baybrook because of safety at the school. And Curtis Bay has always been a great family-oriented school. And now with the wonderful leadership we have, our school is definitely moving in the right direction. I'm scared for my child to leave the school because the school they want to send our kids to is in a terrible, terrible block. It literally sits in the middle of the projects where the children have to walk by drug dealers, prostitutes. I mean, this goes on early in the morning, literally early in the morning, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, you got people out there dealing drugs, prostitution going on. So this is what the kids have to walk by to even get to the school. And I'm scared for my child to go to that school. I don't want to get a phone call, my child been hit by a random bullet, be an innocent bystander, because that's the environment they got to walk through to even get to the school. You know, we had kids come to Curtis Bay who has been at Baybrook and has said that school is horrible. They've been tormented, like bullied, to the point that they want to just take their own life because they don't want to be at that school. And it's unfair that our school has to close because it's overpopulated, because children from other schools, other areas, kids who live the West Buck and 10, can come to our school. I think it should only be the kids in our zone that goes to the school, except for certain exceptions that children, like, you know, certain kids have been tormented, bullied. So I can understand why they want to be at Curtis Bay, because Curtis Bay is a wonderful school. You have the teachers, the staff, everybody there really cares for the kids. They really put in time. I had my niece, nephew, my son, my daughter, my other nephew, all have graduated from that middle school and has went to top high schools because they have put so much time in with the kids to make sure that their grades are up to par, they're picking the right high schools, and they're doing the right thing. And they really actually, like I said, care. And I just don't feel safe with my child going to that school. You know, of course our school is overpopulated when you got kids from East Baltimore, South Baltimore, Southwest Baltimore, everywhere transferring their kids to our school. Send those kids back to their zone school. Because if Curtis Bay closed today and tomorrow, guess what? They're not going to have no choice but to go to their zone school. So let them go to their zone school now, except for, like I said, certain exceptions. You know, people want their kids to be in a school that they feel comfortable. You don't want to have to worry about getting a phone call, your child has been hit in the head with a stick or jumped on in the school building and nobody has done absolutely nothing about it. So, you know, That's surprise.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Oh, this is my baby Mia. She wanted to speak, but I forgot to sign her up. You can, could she say a couple of words?
If you let me go through the list, I'm going to come back to see if anyone else would like to speak. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
I just want to let the folks who were signed up, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right. Rico Gaines.
How you doing today? So before I get started, I'm a parent of Journey Brown, who goes to George McMecken, and that's under, I guess, consideration to be closed. I normally don't do this. It's normally my wife's thing right here. I'm normally at work all the time when this is going on, but this is important. My daughter has progressed a lot in the short time she's been at McMecken. Prior to going to McMecken, she went to another school. I mean, do you mind if I say the school? She went to the Bear School. She did the Bear School for 2 years. We did not have an eventful journey at Bear School. There were some unfortunate incidents that happened there. The fear of her having to go back to that school is real. Very concerning to me. Overpopulated. My daughter is one of the things that the principal spoke about in the beginning about her being nonverbal and needing that extra care, so she does have a nurse and an aide. Ever since my daughter has went to McMecken, she speaks more, she's happier, she doesn't throw temper tantrums like she used to. You know, there's a lot of progression that's going on there. She's a Girl Scout. It's her first year of high school. She's actually a Girl Scout. You know, my wife was super excited about that. She's part of the Special Olympics. They have a pool there. They have a caring community. Everybody reaches out. They check on all the students. You know, if there's a problem with the school not having enough kids in it, then put some more kids in it. I don't see how it's so hard. It seems to be so easy to shut something down and move somebody somewhere else and do this and do that when we're the ones that's living the situation. And it's a real situation. Transportation, you know, my daughter had nothing but issues, and she has grown so far. I would hate to have to send her back there, or I would hate to have to just relocate outright to find her a better place to go to school, because we love where we are. But I will not allow my daughter to go back somewhere where I don't feel like she's safe, or that they actually really care for her the way she's being cared for right now. You know, so I asked the board to consider whatever they have to consider, but, you know, at the end of the day, I'm going to do what's best for my daughter, and I don't think going back to a school that she already graduated from, as the principal stated, or as the person before the principal stated, going back to a school she already graduated from, and also to a school that was not giving her good education or care. You know, so that's about all I have to say in reference to that.
Thank you, Mr. Gaines.
Thank you.
Next is Bonita Circle.
Good afternoon. I'm the parent of Journey Brown. I was actually thrown into Baltimore City Schools from Anne Arundel. I was in contact with the parent response team. Ms. Paxton really helped me because I was like very emotional. I was all over the place. I didn't know where we were gonna go. IEPs were crazy, but she really helped, and she still remains like calling and being able to like, you know, make sure that Journey's okay. We came from Bear School. We had a lot of incidents. So many incidents that Journey was out of school for 65 days in total. We had 4 nurses, we had 4 aides. So when you're a disabled kid, you like to form bonds with people. And if you have so many people, you know, 8 people that you've learned, and then they go away, and then you've missed 65 days of school, that's like more than almost half of school. When I went to George McMecken, I was actually thinking about just homeschooling her, period. I wanted to take her out of school because I just felt unsafe sending her. She cried every day. She cried going to school. She used to fight me. She fight going into the wheelchair. It was an absolute mess. When I went to George McMecken, I called Miss Washington about 1,000 times over the summer, trying to just like figure out what the school was like, how Journey would mingle in. Now we have an amazing nurse. We have an amazing aide. We have pretty much been there every day that school has been open. She comes home from she was hitting herself about 215 times in about a 10-minute period. So you can imagine how many times that is in a day. So they had clickers that they would like see how many incidents she would do with biting and hitting and all of that stuff. At this school, we have none. We have no clickers. We have no, she's pretty much not like, she has behaviors, but she doesn't have the behaviors that she had at the other school. In this year, we've also had Special Olympics. We've also sold, as Girl Scouts, 2,022 cookies. We've had dances. We've had movie nights. We are truly a family. And if you break that up and you send, I would never send Journey back to Bear because I know that just going to the school actually makes her more panicky. So with the school and the nurturing, my child has learned so many things. I didn't know that she knew temperature, like how to tell temperature. I didn't know that she knew how to tell what was living and non-living. And she can actually, you know, she's nonverbal, but she can still point to the things. And at the dance, you know, she's around people that aren't so fragile, where they're not being able to talk. She's better with people that are in her peer community where she's being talked to. So when she's being talked to from her peers and seeing her around with her peers, she's talking more. She's happier. Like, this is the best ever that she's been to school. Closing the school for her would be devastating. It would just be devastating. And I know that she wouldn't go to that school, but we're a family unit. So if we all stay together, and just saying that now she's in a unit where she has two people, they're always there, versus going everywhere, you know, she's in a stable place. And I think that in a stable place, emotionally, just physically, you know, with having the pool and all of that, this is the best that she's ever been in school, period.
Thank you.
I'd ask that, you know, give it a chance.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being such a good advocate for Journey also. I'm glad she had a great year. 2,000 plus Girl Scout cookies. Wow.
So
Okay.
I guess I'm like the voice of the voiceless for my daughter and the kids at school.
Thank you. Anthony Williams.
Good evening. A little about me. I'm a father of 8, 3 of adult age, outside the home, 3 more outside of the state, 2 in the home, 1 on the way here. He's back and forth, my home and shared home and shared custody. My granddad told me to put all my eggs in one basket. It's the only thing I didn't listen to. And I learned the hard way, there's a strain when you have to try to spread yourself outside of your comfort zone, outside of the village, outside of the nurturing, caring environment. It can work, but it strains you. And to be more difficult to do something you can make easier would be ludicrous if you knew beforehand. My children are Sara and Roach. Right now I'm trying to address the issue of closing the school outside of the community, which has a buffer zone and a community family atmosphere of love. And inside of that area, you don't see the layers of concern, the drug culture, the human trafficking, gang violence, traffic accidents. For the logistics of it, it's a nightmare. Abduction, pedophilia. Everyone knows each other and can reach literally across to each other. Bringing them outside of the community, it poses that logistic threat. And it's a strain. Inside of the buffer zone, you have the before and after care programs, the loving environment, the hands-on family village mentality that I see every day. My 2-year-old son, he comes in with me. All of the teachers and all the students, they know him as well, because I try to stay as much as I can involved, because I've learned that the village does need to pull together to raise that child. And the children, it's not just my responsibility to be a father to my children, it's my responsibility as a man for every man's son and every woman's daughter and every man's child to be my responsibility. I know you want to close the school because it's old, but that's just not the only good reason. If you have a working environment, the model works, you have the sports, you have the aftercare, before care, you have the access to people that do give you an effort and love them. And if we leave that environment and leave that community, it's a strain to go to another community of the unknown through the layers of concern. So if there is another alternative, I would love to explore that as far as financially partnering or something to keep the community inside the buffered area, inside the community that can literally reach across the street or down the street and help each other to be the village for that child, to have his best chance, for life outside of these walls.
Thank you. Okay, we will consider your comments. Thank you. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to Mia, because all the folks who signed up have spoken. Is she still here, or did she leave? Oh, okay. And yeah, here she comes. Okay.
Can y'all hear me? Okay. Good afternoon, well, evening. My name is Amira Small, and I am currently now attending Curtis Bay Elementary Middle School, and I'm in 7th grade. And my concern is I don't feel really comfortable with leaving the school that I've been attending since pre-K just to go to another school that isn't really with a good environment or community. And I know some friends that actually was attending Baybrook and told me it's a lot of violence in that school and they don't want to be there. And I got another group of friends that go there and is a part of the violence. And I just don't feel very safe going there because actually at Curtis Bay, my teachers make me feel very comfortable and confident. And Miss Johnson, she is a wonderful assistant principal at the school, and she does whatever she can to make the students do their best. So does my teachers, such as Ms. Gant. Can you stand up? And Miss Johnson. And Miss Gant, which is my math teacher, she actually pushes me to the limit. She shows tough love. She want me to be at the very top. She want me to succeed. She want me to go to college. She don't want me to drop out of school. And I feel as though if I go to Baybrook, I'm not going to feel the same way as I feel at Curtis Bay. And I just feel like the school should not close. That's all I got to say. But thank y'all.
Thank you for expressing yourself. Okay. One moment. Okay.
We've had kids in our school signing a petition, and the people that signed up are people that don't want the middle school to shut down. And there was a lot of people who signed up from 6th and 5th grade.
Okay.
Parents have one, and the kids have one.
Okay. If you send those in for us, that's some of the information that could come into the board office. Okay. Thank you. Gonna check to see if there's anyone else who did not sign up who wishes to speak before we. Hurry down. I'm gonna sound like, what's that, The Price is Right? Come on down.
Yes, yes.
Giving my age away, huh? Please tell us your name.
Good evening. I'm Renata Plummer, principal at Sara and Roach Elementary School. And I had the privilege of sitting here a couple of weeks ago. And I just want you all to know that I appreciate your outpouring and the connections with us, and even with Principal Guzman. And I just needed to let you know that. And I still want to state the same thing again. I do understand, and I'm working closely with parents to get them to understand that change is hard, but it's good. And as I stated, I just need them to have what they need. If it means being safe, I ask you all to investigate, make the connections to make sure that they are safe. I believe last time I said parents send their students to school to learn and be safe and expect them to come back home. And in some instances, children are not coming back home. So, we have that responsibility to do that. So do know that we do appreciate you and your efforts. But as a team, we want everyone to make sure that our babies are safe. There are not as many now as there were, but the ones that are here in Baltimore City, period, we want to make sure that all of them are protected. Thank you.
Thank you. If you want to speak, I'm going to ask you just come down this side, and then when you come up, just give your name. Okay.
Good evening, LaShonda Washington on behalf of Georgia McMecken. You've heard from a lot of members of our community, and you do know our demographic. So I'm just want to be the voice for those of our students who don't have parents. A lot of our kids are in foster situations or group homes, so you're not gonna have big numbers with parents coming out because they just don't have that. But they are just as precious as students that do have parents. McMecken is a beacon of hope for our kids, our scholars. Let me tell you, when you watch those teachers modify, things fall apart, Macbeth, and our kids get that, it is so phenomenal. And when you heard Journey Brown's mom say that Journey speaks, we have devices that we call their Big Mac, so you can say yes or no. So you modify the teachers modify the instructions, and the kids, they are engaged. How happy they are to come to school every day. They say, Miss Washington, guess what? I'm like, tell me what? I'm going to be at school tomorrow. And fist bumps, and they have those special high fives and that the kids do with the shake and the bump. They are exceptional. They are norms for me. They're, they say disabilities and special needs. No, they teach me. Every day I get to learn from them. They come with a smile, and I'm like, there's no way in the world I can come in here disgruntled, not looking at these scholars who are happy to be there every day. They make a difference. Our kids learn. We have socials so that they have places to gather. We take our kids out in the community, And they do get stirs when we go to the movies. And you know, sometimes you kind of say shame on people who don't prepare their kids for people who don't look like them. But our kids they are tough as nails. They go right in with a smile and they're not affected by it because they're nurtured every single day. And their disabilities are not the number one topic of the day. It's what are you learning? What did you do today? So, and if you could see it, and you can come by one of our dances if you like. They dance all night. But they have those things afforded to them at McMecken. We are a serious community. I mean, in the building is the building, but we're part of that. Peace. We need that space. Let us operate in that space if we can. Like, just do your ground level best. Please, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ms. Washington.
Good evening. My name is Bezarah Johnson. I'm the assistant principal at Curtis Bay Elementary Middle School. I did not prepare a speech. I was not planning on speaking this evening. I came to support my families and also to just attend the meeting. But I did want to share just a few brief things with the board. 4 years ago, I was brought on board at Curtis Bay specifically to support with overseeing the middle school building. The 6th through 8th grade had a great deal of challenges and some things that we wanted to work on. So I've worked with Mr. Bon Giovanni and our teachers at the school to really be focused on strategically aligning strategies to shift the learning environment, the climate, so that our students, our scholars could focus on education. And it has taken some years, but we have truly worked hard with our families and in the community to turn the school around. As some of our parents noted, our students have really been excelling academically. They have been growing, receiving recognition. They are showing that they are prepared for high school, and we are just so excited about the progress that they have made. We love our students at our school and work very hard every single day to make sure that we cater to their needs, and especially that if there are any challenges that occur in our climate, that we are working hard using restorative practices measures to resolve issues directly after they happen. We want all students to feel welcomed, safe, when they come to our school building so that they can focus on learning and not have the distractions of other drama or other situations that could be taking their mind off of education, which is why they're at school. There are so many parents at our school as well as our children that I've met. I literally have not met a family or a child in our building that is pleased about the transition that is taking place. And we understand that this may need to happen, but I wanted to come before the board just to express what an honor it has been to work and be a part of the change that has happened at Curtis Bay. And I would like to ask the board that if this change does have to occur, that some additional steps are put in place to support with easing the transition for the children. Our students and our families are used to Curtis Bay community. We have built strong and lasting relationships with them where they are really thriving, and we want to ensure that all of our students are safe going to the new building if that is what will occur. If there is any way that we could align a transition plan so that students could transition by grade level possibly to the new school location, or if there are some measures that we could put in place so that our school could stay open, since we do have the data to prove that our scholars have been making academic progress, as well as the progress that is taking place in our climate that is so very important, we would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not seeing anyone else stand. So I want to thank everyone who has come, and I guarantee, I will say, I'm not thinking of the word that I want to use, but on the part of the board that this is a very serious matter for us, which is why we do need to hear from folks. We do listen. As many people have said, change is hard, even though change can be good, but change is difficult. And so no matter what the final decisions are, the board, along with our staff, our CEO, is going to be certain that we are providing the best environment and the best teaching and learning and support that we can possibly provide for our students. So we can guarantee you that no matter what decisions are made. There are some very specific things I think we heard tonight that we know we need to follow up on. But thank you for coming and sharing. Please know that you can continue to send us comment. We said until January 10th. I don't know if we can put that slide back up, but in case you need that, I know it's also on board docs, but be certain to send any of those comments along with any other information that you think we need to have to make the best decisions. And with that, I'm going to adjourn for the evening, and thank you all. Please be safe going home. Thank you.